flipping through the newspapers, switching through multiple news channels, exploring different websites and online mediums for relevant news? Keeping up to date with important news is not only time-consuming but also requires meticulous upkeep of notes for thorough revision. With a limited period in hand and abundant resources to study from, do not let current affairs come in the way of your prelims success. Join the PT 365 program by Vision IAS and advance in your preparation for current affairs. Starting on 9th January at 5 p.m., this 20-day course offers comprehensive coverage of 1 year of current affairs in 60 hours. Join for improved knowledge with complete coverage of The Hindu, Indian Express, PIB, Economic Times, Yojana, Economic Survey, etc. Doubt-clearing sessions and mentoring for thorough knowledge. Access to Sandhan personalized test with 25,000 plus questions. Access to live and online classes for flexibility in timing. It's time to devote your energy to smart learning and not running. Enroll today and excel in UPSC prelims with a strong command of current affairs.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Before we dive in, let's take a quick look at the headlines first. USA President signs an executive order sanctioning International Criminal Court. Google scraps diversity-based hiring targets amidst review of its diversity, equity and inclusion initiatives. Western disturbance triggers temperature drop across North India. India's gold investments surged 60% to 1.5 lakh crore rupees in 2024, says World Gold Council report. Study attributes India's remarkable tiger recovery to key conservation factors. 10 new agricultural commodities added to the eNAM platform. In a major move, the President of the United States has signed an executive order imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court or ICC. These sanctions include financial and visa restrictions targeting individuals and their families who assist in ICC investigations against American citizens or allies such as Israel. So, what is the ICC? The International Criminal Court, headquartered in The Hague, Netherlands, is the world's first permanent international criminal court. It was established under the Rome Statute, which was adopted in 1998 and entered into force in 2002. The court deals with 4 main types of crimes: genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and the crime of aggression. Currently, the ICC has 125 member countries. However, countries such as India, Israel, the US, Russia, and China have not joined the Rome Statute. The most recent members to join include Malaysia in 2019 and Ukraine in 2025. The court is managed by the Assembly of States Parties, which serves as its oversight and legislative body. The Assembly comprises representatives from all the states that have ratified or acceded to the Roman Statute. The ICC operates in 6 official languages: English, French, Arabic, Chinese, Russian, and Spanish. But the ICC faces several structural challenges. One of its biggest limitations is its high dependence on state cooperation, as it lacks executive power to carry out arrests or collect evidence independently. Additionally, the court often finds itself entangled in between power politics and human rights, sometimes being used as a tool by certain states to target opponents rather than purely upholding justice. Now, how does the ICC differ from the International Court of Justice or ICJ? Well, the ICJ, established in 1945, serves as the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. Unlike the ICC, which prosecutes individuals for serious international crimes, the ICJ resolves legal disputes between states. It functions in 2 key ways: settling disputes between states based on international law and providing advisory opinions on legal matters referred by authorized UN bodies and agencies. So, while the ICC focuses on criminal accountability, the ICJ primarily deals with state-to-state disputes.
Moving ahead, in a significant shift, Google has scrapped its diversity-based hiring targets as part of a broader review of its diversity, equity and inclusion or DEI initiatives. The move aligns with the growing trend among tech giants including Meta and Amazon, which have been scaling back their DEI programs. But what is meant by diversity, equity, and inclusion or DEI initiatives? DEI is an umbrella term used to describe policies and initiatives that promote the representation and participation of different groups of individuals. For example, gender, race, sexual orientation, etc. Now, let's take a closer look. Diversity, equity, and inclusion or DEI encompasses key principles that promote fairness and representation in various sectors. Diversity ensures the presence and participation of individuals from varied backgrounds and perspectives, including those who have been traditionally underrepresented, such as individuals of different genders and races. Equity focuses on providing equal access to opportunities, ensuring fair, just, and impartial treatment, such as fair compensation. Inclusion fosters a sense of belonging and respect for all, emphasizing active involvement in decision-making processes. Together, these principles create a more balanced and inclusive environment that values every individual's contributions. Moving on to the significance of DEI at workplace. These initiatives play a crucial role in preventing discrimination, as it is a fundamental human right essential for quality employment and worker welfare. Moreover, DEI fosters business development as it promotes creativity and innovation, broadens talent attraction and retention, increases employee engagement, and enhances reputation. However, scaling back DEI programs raises concerns. Experts warn that reducing these efforts may lead to inherent biases, as lack of DEI may result in homogenization of perspectives leading to biases. For example, algorithmic biases in AI. Additionally, workplace discrimination may increase, affecting opportunities for promotion and career advancements for underrepresented groups. Globally, several initiatives continue to champion DEI principles. The UN Global Compact's Principle 6 of 10 underlines that businesses should uphold the elimination of discrimination in respect of employment and occupation, while countries like Austria and Germany enforce national workplace quotas or targets like gender and disability quotas in workplaces. With tech giants pulling back on DEI, the debate intensifies over balancing merit-based hiring with the need for diversity. Will this shift reshape corporate hiring strategies worldwide? Only time will tell.
Moving ahead, a western disturbance or WD has triggered a significant drop in temperatures, bringing winter rainfall and snowfall across North India. But what exactly are western disturbances? And how do they influence India's winter weather? Let's take a closer look. The term disturbance is used because these are low pressure systems where air tends to be unstable, leading to weather changes. Western disturbances are low-pressure, non-monsoonal systems originating in the mid-latitude region, bringing winter rainfall, locally known as Mahavat, in India. Now, where do these disturbances come from? Western disturbances form over the Mediterranean Sea region due to interactions between contrasting air masses. A high-pressure area over Ukraine forces cold polar air to intrude into warmer zones, creating instability. This instability leads to cyclogenesis, the formation of western disturbances. Once formed, their movement is controlled by a powerful wind system known as Subtropical Westerly Jet or SWJ. This jet stream, located in the mid-latitudes above 20-degree latitude, guides the disturbances eastward towards India. The SWJ itself is a massive ribbon of fast-moving, high-altitude winds flowing west to east between 20-degree and 40-degree latitude in the upper atmosphere. But moisture is key. As these systems travel across West Asia, Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, they pick up additional moisture from two major sources, the Caspian Sea in the north and the Persian Gulf in the south. By the time they reach India, they carry enough moisture to trigger significant weather changes. The final and most crucial interaction happens when these disturbances reach the Himalayas. The towering mountain range acts as an obstacle, forcing the moist air to rise, leading to orographic rainfall in the plains and snowfall in the western Himalayan region. This is why we see heavy precipitation in states like Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand, while northern plains including Punjab, Haryana, and Delhi experience rainfall and a subsequent dip in temperatures. But beyond these immediate weather effects, Western disturbances play a vital role in India's ecosystem. They provide 5 to 10% of the annual rainfall in winter, ensuring crucial moisture during the dry season. This winter rainfall helps in drought mitigation, reducing water scarcity before the monsoon arrives in May-June. Additionally, Western disturbances support rabi crops by providing necessary moisture, boosting agricultural productivity. Another critical contribution is glacier replenishment, as snowfall from these disturbances helps sustain Himalayan glaciers, ensuring a steady water supply for river systems. In conclusion, Western disturbances are not just passing weather events, they are essential for India's climate stability, agriculture, and water resources.
Moving on, in a remarkable surge, India's gold investments have soared by 60% in 2024, reaching 1.5 lakh crore rupees according to the latest World Gold Council report. The surge in Indian and Chinese markets has helped counterbalance the slowdown in Europe and the United States. Let's take a closer look. The report highlights a 25% rise in global gold demand, with investment demand decreasing by 29% compared to 2023. Global supply, however, saw only a marginal 1% growth, primarily due to mine production and recycling. Looking ahead, experts predict central banks and gold exchange traded funds will play a significant role in shaping gold demand in 2025. In India, the Reserve Bank of India added 73 tons of gold to its forex reserves, raising the precious metals share to a record 11%. Several factors contribute to the growing demand. It is a symbol of wealth and status, as gold is integral to rituals and traditions. For example, gold is considered sacred in Hindu and Jain traditions. Second, investment and security. It is valued for portability, especially in rural areas. And lastly, gold's prominence in weddings, which account for nearly 50% of the country's annual gold purchases. India also boasts vast gold ore reserves, with Bihar leading at 44%, followed by Rajasthan at 25%, Karnataka with 21%, West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh with 3% each, and Jharkhand with 2%, according to the Ministry of Mines 2022. Meanwhile, globally, the United States, Germany, Italy, France, China, Switzerland, India, and Japan hold the largest gold reserves. The top exporting nations include Germany, the European Union, Switzerland, United States, and Japan, according to the World Integrated Trade Solution 2023. Now, the World Gold Council, or WGC, founded in 1987, continues to promote gold as a strategic asset while ensuring a responsible, transparent, and accessible gold supply chain. Headquartered in London, UK, the Council operates across more than 45 countries with 32 active members. With gold investments at an all-time high, it remains to be seen how global economic trends, central bank policies, and geopolitical factors will shape the future of the gold market.
Moving ahead, we focus on a remarkable success story, India's incredible tiger recovery. Once wiped out from over 90% of their historic range, tigers are now making a strong comeback, with India holding nearly 75% of the world's tiger population. Let's begin with a milestone achievement. In 2022, India successfully doubled its tiger population, meeting the TX2 goal set by the Global Tiger Recovery Program. This was accomplished despite India being home to some of the world's highest human densities, an extraordinary feat in conservation. According to a study, tiger-occupied areas expanded by 30% between 2006 and 2018, with tigers reclaiming over 40,000 square kilometers of land. Protected areas have been instrumental in this recovery, with 85% of tiger-occupied grids falling within these conservation zones. However, what is truly remarkable is the reality of human-tiger coexistence. About 45% of tiger habitats are shared with nearly 60 million people, proving that conservation and community life can go hand in hand. So, what has made this success possible? Several key initiatives have played a crucial role in strengthening India's conservation efforts. Project Tiger, launched in 1973, was the first major step, laying the foundation for in situ tiger conservation and ensuring protected habitats for the species. To oversee conservation policies and monitoring, the National Tiger Conservation Authority was established, acting as a statutory body that enforces protection measures. Advancing technology also played its part with M-Stripes, a digital system which enhances tiger tracking and data collection, making conservation efforts more precise. Additionally, quadrennial surveys conducted since 2006 have helped assess tiger distribution and habitat quality, ensuring that conservation strategies remain data-driven and effective. Beyond these initiatives, several factors have contributed to tiger recovery. A balanced approach of land sparing and land sharing has allowed for both strictly protected reserves and landscapes where tigers and communities coexist. Socio-political stability has also played a major role, leading to tiger recoveries in reserves such as Nagarjun Sagar, Srisailam, Amrabad and Simlipan. Furthermore, the role of local communities has been significant. It is not just lower human density but the tolerance and support of local populations that have made conservation possible. This is evident in states like Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Karnataka where tiger populations have risen remarkably. But why does this matter? The rise in tiger numbers is not just about saving one species. Tigers serve as flagship and umbrella species, meaning their conservation indirectly protects entire ecosystems, benefiting other megafauna and promoting biodiversity. Their presence also supports carbon sequestration and strengthens ecosystem against invasive species, proving their ecological significance. India's tiger conservation story is a testament to resilience, planning and coexistence. As we move forward, sustaining this momentum will be key to ensuring that these majestic creatures continue to thrive in the wild.
Moving on, in a major boost to digital agricultural trade, the National Agriculture Market or ENAM has expanded its platform with the inclusion of 10 new commodities, including chickpea flour, dried tulsi leaves, dragon fruit, among others. With this addition, the total number of commodities available for trade on ENAM has now reached 231. This move is expected to benefit farmer-producer organizations or FPOs by enabling them to market value-added products such as asafoetida and roasted chickpea flour, further strengthening their market presence. Now, let's take a closer look at ENAM. Launched in 2016, ENAM is a pan-India electronic trading portal that integrates existing APMC mandis to create a unified national market for agricultural commodities. Implemented by the Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, ENAM leverages the physical infrastructure of APMCs rather than functioning as a parallel marketing platform. APMCs are governed by state APMC Acts, which were enacted under the Agricultural Produce Market Regulation Act 1963. For states to integrate their mandis with ENAM, they must implement 3 key reforms in their APMC Acts: a unified single trading license, a single point levy of market fees, and the adoption of e-auction or e-trading as a mode of price discovery. The ENAM platform offers multiple advantages, including improved market access by reducing information gaps between buyers and sellers, real-time price discovery based on demand and supply, and enhanced transparency with quality-based auction processes and timely online payments. Several digital marketing initiatives are transforming agriculture by enhancing market access and efficiency. The Managed Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship plays a crucial role by providing digital marketing training to agri-startups. Digital Public Infrastructure or DPI for agriculture further supports the sector by offering market intelligence. The Integrated Scheme for Agricultural Marketing or EG MarkNet serves as a government-to-citizen or G2C e-governance portal that strengthens agricultural marketing infrastructure. Meanwhile, ITC eChoupal facilitates direct farmer-to-consumer channels, reducing intermediaries and ensuring better price realization for farmers. In conclusion, with these advancements, ENAM continues to play a crucial role in transforming agricultural trade in India, ensuring better opportunities and fairer prices for farmers nationwide. In today's Place in News, we turn our attention to Greece with its capital Athens. Recently, Greece experienced a spate of earthquakes on the island of Santorini. Now, let's take a closer look at the political and geographical features of the country. Politically, Greece is the southernmost country of the Balkan Peninsula, sharing borders with Albania, North Macedonia, Bulgaria, and Turkey. It is surrounded by the Aegean Sea to the east, the Mediterranean Sea to the south, and the Ionian Sea to the west. Geographically, the country is characterized by the Pindos Mountains, which is a central mountain range forming the core of mainland Greece, with Mount Olympus being the highest point. Greece experiences a Mediterranean climate and features significant landmarks such as the Isthmus of Corinth, which connects the Peloponnesus to mainland Greece, and the narrow coastal plains of Thermopylae in central Greece. Additionally, Crete stands as the largest Greek island, playing a crucial role in the country's geography and history.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. Scientists have successfully produced the first kangaroo embryos using in vitro fertilization or IVF technology, which is expected to help protect marsupial species. Marsupials are a group of mammals comprising over 330 species, including koalas, bandicoots, wombats, wallabies, and possums, among others. January 2025 was the warmest January on record, despite the development of La Niña. La Niña, Spanish for little girl, is a climate pattern that is the opposite of El Niño. During La Niña, the tropical Pacific trade winds become exceptionally strong, leading to an abnormal accumulation of cold water in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean. Recently, a new water flea species, Indobryospelis bharaticus, belonging to the genus Bryospilus, was discovered at Korigad Fort near Pune. Crustaceans, which are mostly aquatic arthropods, have gills for respiration. Examples include crabs, shrimps, lobsters, crayfish, and woodlice. The Ministry of Ayush has launched a campaign titled Shatavari for Better Health to increase awareness about Shatavari's health benefits. The name Shatavari, meaning curer of 100 diseases, refers to a medicinal woody climber that grows to a height of 1 to 2 meters. Astronomers have identified the largest known structure in the universe, named Kipu. This superstructure has a mass of 200 quadrillion solar masses and stretches over 1.3 billion light-years. Superstructures are extremely large formations that contain groups of galaxy clusters and superclusters. The Defense Ministry has signed contracts worth 10,147 crore rupees for the procurement of ammunition for the Pinaka multi-barrel rocket launcher developed by the Defense Research and Development Organization, or DRDO. Pinaka is a multi-barrel rocket launcher that can launch 12 rockets in just 44 seconds. Israel follows the US in withdrawing from the UNHRC, citing bias against Israel. The UNHRC is an intergovernmental body of the United Nations responsible for human rights discussion. Its headquarters are in Geneva, Switzerland. Its mandate is to promote universal respect for human rights and address violations. Light pollution threatens the world's largest telescope in the Atacama Desert. The Atacama Desert, located between the Andes Mountains and the Pacific Ocean, features salt pans, alluvial fans, dunes, and volcanic cones. In terms of climate and environment, it is one of the driest places on Earth. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.